Welcome to the Hiker's Dream Show. I'm Landslide. I'm from Mexico right now. I'm in Baja, Mexico. And let me introduce myself a little bit, and then we can go around and introduce ourselves. So this is the main character today, and we got Traci here. But first I'll say who I am, why I'm doing this is I'm part of an environmental awareness group, nonprofit group, and we're just trying to help people become more aware of the planet, what's going on. And hiking is a great way to do it because people are outdoors and seeing what's going on. And we love to hear people share their experiences with hiking and what they see, etc. And I'm glad to have Alyssa on because she's hiking for a purpose. Is it Alyssa, or is that the way to pronounce it?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's hiking for a purpose, which is kind of cool because, you know, there's a reason. I mean, most people have their reasons. There's many reasons, but she's not just doing it for herself. She's doing it for others. So we'd like to hear about what's going on with you. Let me bring in Kristine too here. But for myself, again, I'm just making a place for people to come together and share basically and express themselves. So, and again, I'm in Baja. I did the PCT in 2014 with my son. That's the only major trail I've done, but it really stuck with me, the experience, as most of you who are through hikers, you know, you can see how it affects you. So that's me. Let's go on to Traci. Who are you? What are you doing here? What's your background? Short, in 5 minutes.
Okay, so my trail name is Laughing Loon, and kind of got that name from a women's cancer survivor group that I started many years ago, and we kind of dubbed ourselves as the Laughing Loons. So when I got out on trail, I had used that as I was blogging for the trek, and I needed a name quick, so I just put in Laughing Loon, but it quickly became my trail name, and so that stuck. And I live in northern Maine in the Willywags.
Thank you for sharing. It's a little choppy, but we kind of got the idea. And we'll go to Kristine now, who's actually on the AT. If you can talk, Christina, give us a little bit about your background, what you're doing.
My trail name is Gigi. I am in Tennessee doing my first back-to-back 20 milers. So this is my second day of 20. And I've never done that many miles in that short a time before. So we'll see how it goes today. I think I might need to replace my feet when I'm finished.
Well, great. Great to have you here. Okay, and the star of the show, Alyssa. Okay. Hi, Alyssa. Can you please give us the background of some of your history and how it relates to hiking?
Yeah, so I started hiking as an adult. Like literally my first time hiking was, I think, September 2020. And I just like a day hike, and I came home and I was really pumped, and also couldn't really walk because I did like miles. I think it was 22 miles in a day. And I came home and cliche, but my partner put on the movie Wild. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Like, this is interesting. I'm intrigued. So then after watching the movie, we started Googling it and actually finding out what the Pacific Crest Trail was. And yeah, just kind of transpired from there. And I got really obsessed with it. I have ADHD, so I hyper focus on things quite easily. And yeah, I just, from that moment on, I was like, okay, we're gonna do the PCT. Not sure how, but we're gonna do it. And
have you done it? Have you done it?
Well, I've done just over 1,000 miles. I wasn't able to finish the whole thing this year because I don't know if you were following all along on my thing, but I basically got injured right off the bat. For 32 days, I had my foot injury. Then I got back on trail and I got sick for 2 weeks, and then I got back on trail and I got heat exhaustion. Then I got back on trail and I got heli evac'd out of the Sierras. Then I got back on and I hurt my ankle, and then I got plantar fasciitis, and then we were in the fires, and it just kept going and going and going. So I was out there for 5.5 months. And I did, I think, hiking days, maybe 75 hiking days, and I did just over 1,000 miles.
Wonderful.
So going back next year to finish it.
You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Can I ask you how old you are?
25.
Okay. Your adult life. Okay. When did you start your adult life? You're still a kid. You're still a
Say when
kid.
you're like 18, you
Okay.
kind of like turn into an adult,
Okay.
that birthday, and all of a sudden you move out. Some people move out before, but like I never really hiked, I did some things when I was like a little kid. My stepmom and my mom and my grandma, they'd take me on the occasional, 2-mile hikes kind of thing. But yeah, I was having a really hard time because in 2019, I went through something very difficult for me, and wasn't able to really leave my house, wasn't able to take this dog out for walks, all sorts of things. And I don't know, some sort of switch flipped in my brain. And all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to set out to try to do this crazy, what I thought was an unattainable goal. And turns out it's pretty attainable. So
that's cool. Yeah. It's good to like do impossible things, what you think is impossible, because you see right there, it's possible. It turns out if you keep at it, actually these things they're doable. You just have to kind of be creative and clever and not take no for an answer.
Exactly. I get a lot of people who ask me, like, how did you find the time to do this? How did you, save up the money? How did you let your job, how did your job allow you to leave for that long, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, you know what, if this is something that you really, really want, and it's like you're being pulled towards it, then you're going to find a way to do it.
Okay. So you've had a lot of challenges. How did you get through them? What did you do? Your mindset.
So I was sexually assaulted in 2019. And with that, I was not doing good. I was not able to leave my bed, that kind of thing. I had a lot of depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, and I acted on that. And it obviously didn't work, which I'm glad about. And I just, one day I was like, you know what, I don't want this person who did this to me to take over my life. So then I decided that I was going to do something about it. And that's why, I picked the Pacific Crest Trail. A lot of my family members are like, why didn't you just go backpack Europe for a month? Or why didn't you just go do a couple weekend trips? And I was like, well, I'm just going to go all in. And then with that, I decided to raise money for sexual assault survivors while I was hiking, and donate that money to 2 charities, one that helped me through my assault, and one that's from my hometown that has helped people that I know through their assaults. And the goal is to raise $10,000. And I just recently, a week ago, we surpassed that goal, and we're past $10,000 now. So I'm really excited and proud.
Good.
Great. Even though I didn't finish what I set out to do in a way I really did. And, I struggled with not being able to finish for a very long time because, I want to finish. I wanted to do what I set out to do, but I set out to do something for me, and I set out to do something for other people. And I did do that. And I did bring a lot of awareness. And I had a lot of people message me saying, you've inspired me to go hike around and do a day hike by myself, or to do my first ever backpacking trip, or, to leave my bed today, stuff like that. And that's really what this trail was about, is just, I posted and I was very raw and I was very emotional, and I just let all those emotions show. And I got some hate for it, which, that's social media, it's fine. But the majority of the feedback was very positive, and yeah.
But you faced it. That's the important thing. You faced everything that you had to. You didn't just lie in bed.
Exactly.
You gave up, and
I did for a little bit, but then I got back.
It's normal.
Yeah.
Or even
yeah. And I've noticed a big change in who I am now. Cause I set out to, not find myself, but recreate who I want to be and who I was, and then, you know, become someone that's better than who I was and stuff. Cause I lost, you know, the joy of life. I lost, like, you know, my laugh and my, you know, smile and, you know, stuff like that. So this trail really brought that back for me, and, you know, made me think about like life is beautiful and like all these small little things that can just make you smile during the day and just make every day a little bit better. You know, like this dog that's panting right next to me.
Well, you said something very, very good, is that you weren't there to find yourself, but to recreate yourself. And we do create ourselves, basically. If you believe it or not, yeah, it's not like we're just, all our experiences, all our whatever we believe or consider, I mean, that's the hodgepodge of who we are. So we can change that or rearrange it. It's all in our hands. So that's so cool. It's not like finding ourselves that somebody else created. We create ourselves and what we do and where we're going. And
Yeah,
Traci,
yeah. And the trail, I worked through a lot of trauma, as a lot of people that did. Like a lot of the people that I've met on trail, like I'd always ask them, like, why are you doing this? Like, you know, stuff like that. And just hearing everyone's stories. Some people had the same kind of story as me. But they didn't want to say it to other people, but they like said it to me later on, you know, through a message or through chatting. Cause it's hard to be open about, you know, being assaulted and having that taken from you and having that happen to you. It's a very taboo subject. You know, people don't talk about it like they should, but it's getting better and people are starting to now. So like, you know, I had a couple men come up to me or message me and say like, hey, this happened to me as well. And I was like, I'm so proud and honored that you were able to tell me that, because it's even more taboo that a man will not say that, because how society is, you know.
It's more prevalent than we think, because it's not you say people don't come out with it, the media doesn't really talk about it, so it's good that you're out there doing this.
I'm excited to go.
Traci has a story too. I'll send you her link to the interview we did, but she has a comeback story too, like you too.
So yeah, I have to watch it.
Where I don't know if you want to mention it, Traci, just what you had to go through, just briefly.
Yeah, I basically, before I got married, got bit by a tick and didn't know it. Was not aware of Lyme disease, and I just gradually over about 14 years just kept getting sicker and sicker until finally I was having like 13, 14 seizures a day, and I couldn't go into Walmart by myself because I couldn't find my way out, and cognitively I couldn't think of names. And at that point we had my husband and I had 2 children, both of which were extremely sick, and I had given it to both of them through utero, which we didn't even know was possible. It was like a 13%. So yeah, after 3.5 years and family and friends and a lot of prayer, I was able to walk, and ever since then, I've spent every second that I can outside, and I'm a huge component of what the outdoors is here for us for a huge reason. All walks of life, it doesn't matter.
No, it's an equalizer out there. You know, it really is. So nature is a healer because it's real and it's sincere. You know, you don't get the BS that you do in civilization.
And it's free.
It's free, except for some of the permits and some of the parks.
Oh, yeah.
So, Alyssa, what like how did it? What have you become more aware of? Let me ask you that. What have you become more aware of through being outdoors? If you're going through all your challenges.
With myself or with society?
Anything.
Well, I noticed that, you know, getting home, definitely some fear sets back in again of like the chance that someone's going to like assault me, you know, that anxiety because I'm in a city all of a sudden instead of in the woods, you know. But I also see like I've noticed like my strength and in my mind where I'm like, I'm not as afraid anymore. Like I haven't once needed someone else to come with me to take my dog for a walk at night, you know, stuff like that. So that like the trail really helped with that. I definitely really hate sleeping indoors. Like it's comforting being in my bed, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, I want the stars and the moon to be so bright shining into my tent that it's like a giant nightlight and I can't sleep because it's so bright, kind of thing. You know, I miss that aspect of the outdoors. I don't think, and I'm hoping, praying that I do not get post-trail depression, because right now I'm working towards getting back on trail. So I think that's really helping keep that post-trail depression at bay. You know, because I have this goal to work towards and to physically work to reach it, to save up the money again, to go again and stuff like that. And then, you know, this dog who keeps on wanting my attention, she's keeping me outdoors and active and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Did you see, what was it? Lila and Cal this year on the trail? They took their dog with them.
I know there's some people that took their dogs. Yes, I wanted to take her, but she's got some health issues where she needs a shot every 10 days.
Yeah.
And that shot has to be refrigerated. So just really, it wouldn't work on the trail.
No, it has to be a special dog that, you know.
Yeah. Like she loves camping. She loves the outdoors. She loves hiking, but just can't be longer than 10 days.
So, what kind of things do you suggest for people to, you know, about outdoor life and hiking? Do you have any suggestions for people that are stuck in their life? They can't get out, that think they have to have a 9-to-5 job or whatever, you know? I mean, how'd you do it?
Yeah, my biggest thing is, you know, really figure out what you want. You know, if you want to start making goals to get on the PCT, or, you know, even the JMT, something smaller, something that only takes 3 weeks, something that takes a week, maybe a weekend, you know, anything like that, just like, you know, start taking the steps. And it could be just starting to work a couple extra shifts and start saving the money, or it could be maybe you want to do this and you're afraid to do it. I've had so many women especially message me being, I want to do the PCT like you, but I don't want to do it alone. And I have to keep on telling people, like, you're not alone. I started solo, and I think over the entirety of the days that I hiked, I think maybe 10 of them I hiked actually alone. You know, I would hike solo, but you're always passing people, you're always having conversations. It's not as, you know, you're not as much in a solitude environment that you think you are when you do a trail like the PCT. It's very much, especially when you hit the Sierra Nevada. You know, you get all the JMT hikers heading the other way. It's constant. You're constantly around people. So I always try to, you know, help them feel at ease with that scenario. A lot of people want to join me on hikes. So I've definitely said I'm willing to help people out and, you know, learn how to like filter water and like just not knowing how to be outdoors. So I want to help people do that. It's just, you know, I got to wait for my injuries to heal from the trail, and then I'll get out there and help people. Right. But yeah, my biggest advice is just like, get out and start walking, just start hiking, do day hikes, do an overnight hike where, you know, there's people around you if you're scared to be alone, you know, stuff like that. Yeah, I definitely was still scared on the trail once in a while, like when I was like sleeping alone, and then someone would like come set up with me because they were night hiking. They set up at like 3 a.m. all of a sudden, and I'm like, right. Oh my, you know, like you always get a little bit scared every once in a while, but you just gotta hike through all those fears and keep on walking one foot in front of the other.
It's really facing it, yeah, no matter what. Even if you lose the physical body, if you have fear when you leave, it still sticks with you. So just keep present in the moment and face everything. That's good advice.
And do things afraid, because that's where you grow. That's where you realize, like, okay, this fear that I'm having right now, it's a little bit much. Let's try to make this fear a little less, or this fear I can push through, and we can take one more step and one foot in front of the other. I'm sure our friend right now who's walking is probably going to be doing some night hiking to hit those 20 miles.
Oh, heck no. Oh, no.
No, she stops at 4:00, right, Kristine?
Between 4 and 6, I usually try to stop. Sometimes I'm a little late.
That's my hiker right there. All my friends are like, what do you mean you want to stop at 6? Like, let's go till 9. And I'm like, why would I do that? But I'm also not an early riser. So I
had one night. No, I had one night last week where I came in at 7:45, and I had my headlamp on because I was going through some more rhododendrons. groves, which are really dark anyway. And it was after sunset and it was starting to rain. So all of that together, I couldn't see the features on the trail, the rocks and the roots and stuff like that. So I had my headlamp on and I did not like it.
That's fair.
No, I don't night hike.
But yeah, I'm sure if it comes through like it did for you, you just put your headlamp on, you just push through it, even though you didn't like it. You're like, well, it's just something I got to do.
Yeah. I got to get to the, I was going to a hostel. I wanted to get warm and dry because it had been a rainy weekend.
Yeah.
I lost my fear of darkness and nighttime through hiking. I just I had to, set up camp or go an extra mile or so in the dark. It just, I didn't pay any attention to it anymore. Whereas before I was kind of like, yeah, what's out there? But now I just like, whatever is out there. I mean, if there's a noise or something, yeah, like a growl or something that, it's kind of spooky, but still, it's just like normal. It's just like day, but it's just dark. So that's the way I feel.
My challenge isn't the noises or what's out there. It's I can't see the trail. I only have two real fears when I'm hiking: running out of water, which is why I won't do the PCT, and a serious fall, like a hike-ending fall or a life-altering fall. And if I'm hiking in the dark, you can't see, even with a really strong headlamp, you can't see the trail features as well.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, I've done a couple night hiking and it can get pretty, uneasy.
My fear was hypothermia, getting too, wet and cold and not being able to dry out.
Yeah.
Stay warm. But,
and that's why I won't do the AT.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Kristine's doing. Have you had much rain, Kristine? Wet?
At times. I mean, sometimes it's just overnight rain. There's been, since I've come down to the south again, we've had a couple times where I've had rain 2 or 3 days in a row, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's been raining during the day when I'm hiking.
But you have shelters though. PCT, you don't have the shelters, right? Does that help? Yeah. So.
It does. And if I can get to a shelter, I do, but my tent's pretty good. So I stay fairly dry in there too. Well, I stay really dry in there. So I've been in my tent in a really heavy deluge before without a problem. So, yeah.
Okay,
no such thing as bad weather, just the wrong gear.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's good. Alyssa, what's your favorite story that you heard or went through yourself on your 1,000 miles? Any story that you heard from others or your own story? What's your favorite one?
Well, I think I started having people starting to call me SOL after they started hearing my stories about everything that continuously happened.
SOL.
Yeah, SOL, shit out of luck. And
okay.
But my trail name is Littlefoot.
Littlefoot.
But yeah, I don't know. I get Littlefoot, from the dinosaur of Land Before Time, the cartoon dinosaur. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, the heli evac was pretty entertaining, after the fact, I think hearing everyone's stories about what they did on the trail this year to get out of the fires or to go around the fires and stuff like that was pretty entertaining. I had a couple friends who were actually like the ones that were getting evac'd out of the fire, and my one friend was actually the one that was like trying to get everyone out, like he was kind of running point on that. His name is Twinkle Toes. So that was a pretty crazy and wild story, hearing what they went through. They did 35 miles in a day because their hiking day was about 25 miles. And then they, 2 hours later, they had to pack up and hike out and get out of the fires. So that was pretty crazy.
Was that wandering north?
I like hearing everyone.
Was that wandering north?
No. Oh, that was like the McKinney fire.
Okay. I mean, the couple that's Twinkle Toes and somebody else? No, okay.
No, Yeah, Twinkle Toes is a singular unit. But yeah, that was pretty crazy to hear about that story, and just hearing about like, how people have done like an aqua blaze to go touch the terminus this year and go through like Ross Lake, and like just hearing all the different stories about how people turned their hike into their hike. It wasn't just everyone is doing this one continuous footpath, because we physically couldn't this year, with all the fires and all the stuff that happened this year. So, seeing people go and be like, okay, Oregon's on fire. What are we going to do? Well, let's do those Oregon miles on the coast of Oregon and do the Oregon Coast Trail, and then come back to the PCT and keep hiking up through Washington. And then, once all the fires of North California are done, like, let's go back to North California and finish up there. And like how people just kind of kept on having to jump around to do as many possible miles as they could. With my tramily at the time, we decided that we had a trail angel, this amazing trail angel, basically just offered us a free road trip up to Portland and then to PCT days. And we got to do like paddle boarding every day. And we did like a paddle in campsite at Adjuwami State Park, and like, just all these different things that really just made the PCT really unique this year.
Wonderful. Who's your favorite character that you met out there?
Oh man.
Favorite, or some of the characters?
I'm gonna give a special shout out to Beermeister. He was a character. He was pretty awesome. He had to get off in the Sierra due to a knee injury that he was dealing with. Always a party with Beermeister. We also had like my tramily members, because I was sick, or not sick, before I was injured for those 32 days right at the beginning. Bunch of my trail family members at the beginning, they were way up ahead, but instead of skipping up to them, I decided to start from where I ended, and keep going up. So then I ended up meeting a whole bunch of people. And then every time a new ailment came my way, I would again stop, wait, and then start from there again. So I met so many different people. So I probably had like, some person started trying to call me leapfrog because, and it didn't stick, but they were trying to get me leapfrog because I would always leap between tramily members and like families and stuff like that. So I think I probably had like 7 groups of people that I ended up hiking with throughout the trail. So I think that was a really unique experience for me, because I would never have met all of these people if all of these things didn't keep happening to me. So it was a silver lining. Every bad thing that happened, a good thing came out of it.
Favorite trail angel experience? When you're really thirsty or tired or whatever, around the corner.
So many trail angels come through and help me because of all the things that happened to me. In Idlewild, that's where I got that injury for 32 days. I trail angel hopped between like 4 trail angels, and they just like kept on, bringing me in, and like I'd switch to another house and then to another. So like those trail angels were awesome. I had, Jay was amazing with that road trip. I had one person just like save me on the side of a road because my foot injury started acting up again, and I put out a cry for help, and someone literally came and picked me up, and and they weren't a real trail angel. They were just a person that knew a trail angel, and they reached out to them and they were like, hey, can you drive up there? And so a lot of people that weren't even trail angels just kind of became trail angels to help me out and help out my members of my family. And there's one that I met in the Sierra as I was hiking up to get back into, back on the PCT, because I had to bail out of Bishop Pass. So I was coming back to the trail, and I met someone named Paul, and he gave me his number and ended up coming to pick me up at Sonora Pass from Tahoe. And I didn't realize that was a 3-hour drive. So he came, picked me up, brought me all the way back, and drove like 6 hours in a day just to like help me out. And that was like incredible. Like the PCT has given me a faith in humanity again,
Yeah. I mean, we're all, the thing is, we could support each other. That's the way life could be, instead of competing against each other. We could, and the support, there's plenty for everybody, really. Look at the outdoors, how much is out there. I mean, there's a drought here supposedly in Western states, but if you're hiking in the Sierra, in Washington, you see all the water out there. It's just, it's there, but there's government in the way, and restrictions, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And
I did one other family. I just randomly walked up to a fire station in Quincy, didn't have anywhere to stay that night, asked them if they knew anyone or if I could pitch a tent in their yard or sleep on their floor. And I had a full firefighting family just like take me in for 2 days. It's great. Honorary trail angels, and inspiring people that aren't trail angels to become trail angels too, because they're like, wow, this is fun, stuff like that. But I do have to leave in about 2 minutes though, to have another interview with the charity.
Okay. Make sure you send me any links you want, your contact information, links, photos, videos, and we'll add it to the final edit. Okay, one last question. Yeah, what are you going to do different next time when you start hiking again next year? Anything different?
So I've got a couple gear changes I'm going to make just to, make my pack a little lighter, realize what worked, what didn't work, the gear nerd kind of stuff. But I think really is just like, I went into the trail with very like sporadic mileage. One day I would do 8, the next day 18, and that's not feasible, I realize. And it's because, the desert, you're trying to go through the water sources and, stuff like that. So I think next year, like, hopefully my injury doesn't last for this long, because last year, because I did all that weird sporadic mileage, I went from being on a couch and not being able to do anything to all of a sudden going 0 to 100 hiking the trail. So this year I hope that I can do a little bit more training beforehand and increase my mileage, the way you should be doing it, 10% every week kind of increase. Just give myself grace and don't push myself when I know that I need a little bit to lessen off on that day on the mileage. If I know the elevation's a lot, basically just try not to get injured. And now I know like where all the towns are and where I know I want to stay versus where I can just get in, resupply, get out. I spent a lot more money on this trail and this journey than I anticipated. So now to go back, I know what to expect now. So
You're strong. You have good fortitude. I can tell you're going to make it. You'll make it through this and all your challenges. And you'll be a model for others, as all of you are. So, thank you, Alyssa, Traci, Kristine. Thank you, and we'll see you
again. Your 20 miles.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together. It's so beautiful, you and me. We meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell